Hey, Programming 11. So, we made a bullet class in the last video, and I think it turned out pretty great. I think it's a great example of why we did all this work to make array lists and to make superclasses, because it just made that bullet class really easy to build. So, I want to make future classes even more easy to build. What was the hardest thing? It's probably the constructor. It's not that it was that hard, but it was the most amount of code. So what if we could even condense that? So I've noticed that in every single one of these um, every single one of these constructors we've built, it's basically the same thing, they're just different values, right? Star, I assign values to all these instance variables. Starfighter, same deal. Game object, bullet, same deal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it so that game object has it can take parameters, and we can just kind of do that work inside of the constructor. And then I can call the superclasses constructor and just send it the values. So all those lines of code of x equals this, y equals that, and so on. That's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it in here. So we'll have to make some parameters. So now I can make them like float x and float y, but there already is an x and a y. But that's okay, because these are the numbers that are kind of coming to us from the outside source, like from the starfighter or the star or whatever. So there's a couple things you could do. You can either rename these. You could give them names, or you can use a special keyword called the this keyword to sort of say, oh, I want to refer to instance variables instead of parameters. So let's use the this keyword. I think that'll be interesting to see. So float y, float x, float vx, float vy, float size. We want a color and an int lives. Okay, so there's our parameters. I think that's good. I'm trying to scroll back. Okay, so now what we can do is like these variables here are going to be the variables that are coming from our other constructors. Their values will come from other constructors. And I want to assign them to our instance variables. So just to differentiate this x from this x, I can use the keyword this. This dot x refers to the instance variable, and just plain old x is the parameter, because the names can kind of, they overlap and it gets confusing. So if you ever want to be like, no, I want to talk about the instance variable versus the parameter, the this keyword really allows you to distinguish those things. And again, you could have avoided the this keyword by just naming like this different. Like if you call that y1 or something, then you could do that, and that would be okay. You could differentiate the parameters just their names, but those names are like, these are good names. Like I don't really want to give it a new name. I can't think of a better name, so I'm just gonna use this keyword, and I'm just gonna love it because it's not hard and keeps things, I think, pretty clean. Oops. This dot vy, this dot size, and this dot c, and this dot lives. So as I'm typing this, I can just see someone like typing this down and sort of not really being sure what the heck we're doing. I think that's a pretty common situation for this. So let me try to explain it, and please don't hesitate to ask questions in class as to what's going on as well. So here's the story. Actually, here's the rest of the story. Now that I've done this, no pun intended, now that I've created this in the superclass, I can basically just call this constructor and have it do all this work. So let's go to the bullet class. I was hyping that we were going to improve the bullet class. So let's see. Yeah, so now what we can do is, instead of these, what is that, like 7 lines of code, we can just call super. I can just use the super class. So this refers to the super classes constructor. Okay, so basically game objects constructor, and just send these numbers. I can send it player1 dot x, and I can send it, I'll just type it in, player1.y, and I can send it 0 for Vx and -10 for Vy. I can set it 5 for size. I could send it, whatever color. Ooh. And I can send it 1 for lives. And I don't need to do all this stuff. And look, my bullet class is so tiny now. This is really nice because I can always do this for future classes. I can go change my star as well. That one will be a little trickier, to be honest, but not a big deal. I can do the same thing for Starfighter now. So Starfighter can now say, hey, superclass, my buddy, my bro, look at this. You already, you have this list of numbers I can send you, and you'll assign the numbers I send you to the instance variables. It's very basic code. It's just take these numbers, put them in our instance variables, almost like a loading function, So I can just make use of that now with the super keyword. So in Starfighter, I'm gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be, you have to remember the order, I think, is the only challenge, but that's not a big deal. So in other words, I'm gonna set my X and Y to the center of the screen. I'm gonna send Vx and Vy will be 0. I'll make my size 40. I'll make it red, and I'll set my lives to 3. And now I don't have to do all that code. I can just do it in one line. In the game object, there is a bit of a trick. Is there? Yeah, kind of. So with with star, there is a bit of a problem because I want to use size twice. Because I do this trick where I randomize size, but then I want Vy to be size. So that's kind of annoying because if I don't do it in the right order, they'll get a Vy of 0. So I could do, I could do this. I could say super, and then my random number. I don't have to put in 0 to width, by the way. I can just type in width. It'll assume it starts at 0. So just to condense it a bit. Y is 0. This is for the star. Vx equals 0. And now 0. Now I can't really put in, I guess I can't put a Vy in because I don't have a size yet. I can't type in size here. But that's okay. I think what I'll do is I'll just put in for Vy, let's put 0 for now. And then I'll say size is a random number between 1 to 5. Star is a weight star, and lives is 1. And then what I'll do is just after it, I'll say this line of code. So you can mix and match. So basically, it was just awkward with the ordering because I can't refer to this here. I could give it a different random number, but then I want those two to be synchronized, right? So I'll just manually do it after, and that's a little bit inconvenient, but not that big a deal. Okay, so there we go. So now we have all of our classes referring to the superclasses constructor, so that we don't have to duplicate that code over and over again. This line of code needs to get duplicated, but that's just one line of code instead of duplicating, these over and over again. So we've made our future classes all the easier to create. Whew, intense. I think, considering we didn't really do anything much new, we just made a better class in terms of its organization. So if you're feeling a little bit I don't know what I'm doing, it still shoots bullets, then maybe watch the video again or ask in class. Maybe we can talk about it in class and discuss what was the value of it. Hopefully you can see at least that we shortened our code, but in future things that we create, that's going to be important to notice. That we've made our lives easier. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this video. Oh, actually, we didn't really make a rate of fire, hey? We didn't control the rate of fire. I think I might leave that up to you guys. You can ask in class, but I'll give you a hint right now. So for rate of fire, we just don't want to do this every frame. Right now, it's set that if we're pressing space, we want to do it every frame. So consider like the countdown code that we used in the past. Something like the Pong game where the ball had to go back to the the center of the screen. Hey, you know what? I think I'll do it in the next video. We'll do a rate of fire video. I think that'll actually be pretty great to see that. So let's take a look in the next video about rate of fire, and we'll stop it here. Thanks, everybody.